We need to break up, my boyfriend suddenly said, breaking up, with a serious face while we were eating. I looked up at him, completely bewildered. You're just an eating machine. You never act cute or get jealous, probably seeing how confused I was. He added coldly, what's wrong with him? Bored because he ate too much? Seriously. I was so startled that I quickly shoveled 2 more mouthfuls of rice from my bowl. So good. Don't be like that. I'll only love you from now on. No more eating. I mumbled hastily, looking up with my cheeks still stuffed full. Mu Yi just watched me quietly, without any reaction. Seems I wasn't very convincing, huh? So, I could only watch helplessly as he left, then stared at the remaining table full of dishes with delight. No, with a heavy heart. He's really gone? Is he just throwing a tantrum? There's a reason I think he might be throwing a tantrum rather than actually wanting to break up. In our 2 years together, this is the first time Mu Yi has mentioned breaking up. Mu Yi has always taken good care of me. Over time, I felt his growing affection overflowing into my daily life. Every morning, I wake up to the romantic heart-shaped fried eggs Mu Yi specially prepares after getting up early, and the toothpaste already squeezed onto my toothbrush by the sink. He handles all the big and small things in daily life. Occasionally, when I come home late, no matter how far or late it is, he always comes to pick me up. Even when I catch a slight cold, he worries for ages. He couldn't possibly suddenly bring up breaking up over something so trivial, right? I should go find him and clarify things. With that thought, the food in my bowl didn't taste as good anymore. After learning he had already paid the bill, I hurriedly took a taxi home. But the moment I stepped inside, I found a suitcase lying blatantly on the floor, neatly packed with clean clothes, as orderly as Mu Yi himself. Is he moving out? You can call me if anything urgent happens, Mu Yi said, turning around at the sound of the door closing, his tone indifferent as he continued packing. What? He's really leaving? Sorry. I only call my boyfriend. EXCs don't count. I joked, pretending not to care, trying to test how serious he was about breaking up. He gave me a cold glance, his expression unreadable. Just as I was wondering what he meant, he briskly pulled his packed suitcase and walked out the door. Dang, he's serious. What to do when something like this happens for the first time? No rush. Let's ask my bestie first. I quickly grabbed my phone and called Zheng Ling. After a few rings, her sweet voice came through. What's up? My dear, I recounted everything that happened today without missing a detail. After listening, she focused on one key point: Mu Yi moved out. Yay! That's great. I'll come stay with you for a few days. Finally, I got my chance, hee. She cheered excitedly on the other end, lifting my spirits a bit too. This girl, honestly. After hanging up, I poured myself a glass of iced watermelon juice, sipping it while trying to figure out Mu Yi's thoughts. He's loved me so much for 2 years. Why has he suddenly grown distant recently, even to the point of breaking up? Honestly, men are so hard to read. Just as I finished my juice, the doorbell suddenly rang. So fast. Lingling's so eager. I love it. I opened the door, and Zheng Ling rushed in energetically, giving me a big bear hug as soon as she entered. Lingling, did you even listen to what I just said? I smiled helplessly, gently hugging her back. She let go and linked her arm with mine, leading me to the sofa. With a teasing smile, she said, how could I not care about your matters? I just wanted to tell you in person. Don't worry. I remembered everything. Now, listen to your sis's analysis. So Lingling started counting off on her fingers while playfully scolding me. He said you don't act cute or get jealous. Let's leave jealousy aside for now. Think about it, can you even act cute? Huh? Babe, you're like an iron rod in this relationship. Alright. Quick test right now. Show me some cute coquetry and wiggle a bit. With that, she raised an eyebrow, crossed her arms, and gestured for me to start. I glanced at her guiltily. Okay, here I go. After a brief mental prep, I awkwardly tried to act cute, lowering my voice and calling out, baby, while squirming against her randomly. For some reason, the image of Li Kui, a rough character from Watermargin, coarsely shouting big bro while hammering something, popped into my head. She slowly rolled her eyes in a friendly manner. You look like a worm. Help. But she has a point. I really don't act cute with Mu Yi much, mainly because I'm not good at it. Could he really be breaking up with me just because I don't act cute? Thinking back, I rarely initiated coquetry with Mu Yi. The only time was when I overslept my afternoon nap and hadn't woken up by dinner time. Mu Yi came into the bedroom, gently calling me to get up and eat. I was too sleepy to get up, so I just stretched out my arms, asking for a hug while whining. Half asleep, I felt a big hand gently ruffle my hair. Suddenly, I felt my body lifted into the air, startling me into wrapping my arms around his neck. Opening my eyes, the first thing I saw was the Adam's apple on Muyi's slender neck. Before I could even swallow my saliva, I unexpectedly met Muyi's gaze, darkened with desire. His lips curved into a gentle smile. Awake now, little sleepyhead. All sleepiness vanished instantly. Blushing, I lowered my head, letting him carry me to the dining chair. He was in a great mood the entire afternoon after that, his happiness written all over his face. He really seems to love it when I act cute. He even learned to cook a full banquet for me because I love eating. If learning to act cute can save this relationship, why not give it a try? What are you thinking? Lingling waved her hand in front of my face while munching on an apple. Don't overthink it. This week, you'll learn how to act cute from me. Guaranteed to teach and guarantee results. Just as I was about to ask her to teach me, she beat me to it. I gave her a thumbs up, feeling relieved. You're the best BFF ever. Then I got another big eye roll. But I don't mind. Lingling's a coquetry master. I'm just happy to have her help. While happily thinking, my stomach growled. I was so focused I forgot it was dinner time. Usually, Muyi cooks and calls me, and I just eat to my heart's content. Now, with us two cooking novices, figuring out dinner was a big problem. I was thinking maybe we should order takeout from the nearest place when the doorbell rang. Lingling brought in a big bag of takeout. I ordered it earlier. If I waited for you, your bestie would starve to death, boo-hoo. She pretended to cry while heading to the dining table. I quickly ran over, grinning, and we dug in together. While eating, I suddenly realized, wow, this tastes exactly like Muyi's cooking. Let's order from this place from now on. It's so similar to Muyi's cooking, absolutely delicious, I said excitedly. Lingling calmly agreed, murmuring softly, of course, thanks to you. I asked her what she said while eating, but she didn't reply. I didn't overthink it. Enjoying good food is what matters most. After dinner and washing up, I prepared a room for Lingling. By the time I finished, dusk had settled outside. Lying in bed, drowsiness washed over me, and I fell into a deep sleep. Slept soundly all night. Woke up early the next morning, dragged out of bed by Lingling for breakfast. Luckily, the breakfast was delicious, or else she'd get a knuckle sandwich from me. Oh wait, I forgot she's my lifeline now. Can't do that. After breakfast, the lessons began. I was forced to watch Lingling demonstrate her basics. What angle is most tempting when flipping hair? What gaze holds the most deep affection? And what posture can arouse the desire to protect? After watching, I thought I got it. Is that all? Until I tried it in front of the mirror. I don't know about being charming or tempting, but it sure could make people want to protect me. Because I look like a special needs child begging for affection. Ouch! So I had to practice a few more times with Lingling. Our boisterous laughter never stopped. By the end of the day, we were tired from laughing, but we made some progress. The whole set of movements flowed smoothly. Lingling said she was charmed. Then she grinned mischievously. The basics are almost there, but actual combat depends on your quick thinking. Tomorrow, we'll find Muyi for actual combat tomorrow. Holy, isn't that asking for my life? I made a pained face. Ling, can we not? Don't worry. Tomorrow, wear a Bluetooth earbud under your hair. I'll guide you from home. How's that? Aren't I good to you? Lingling said sweetly, acting coquettishly. I couldn't resist. All right. I agreed readily. After actually agreeing, I suddenly felt an urge to back out. The night was cool, with a few icy breezes blowing through the window, making me sober. Lying in bed, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. I slept so well yesterday, but tonight, looking at the empty space beside me, I felt something missing in my heart. A sense of loss. I've grown so accustomed to Muyi's presence that I couldn't even gauge how much I truly loved him. But now that he's really left, I realize this relationship is something I simply can't let go of. Even if I might embarrass myself tomorrow, I don't want to back down anymore. In the past, it was always Muyi opening his arms to embrace me. This time, I want to try actively walking toward him. Woke up early again, dragged by Lingling to get ready. Slept a bit late last night, so my eyes were slightly puffy in the morning. Lingling seemed to have anticipated it, giving me a full set of egg application and massage treatment. I love this woman seriously. After the swelling went down, I put on light makeup and was about to leave when Lingling suddenly stopped me, drawing a charming upward flick catgirl eyeliner on me. Perfect. She clicked her tongue approvingly, then stuffed a Bluetooth earbud into my hand. Alright, off you go. I was pushed out the door by Lingling, holding the takeout I deliberately didn't eat this morning. I'll bring it to share with Muyi. He'll surely praise me for my cooking skills rivaling his. Hee hee. Muyi's place isn't far, just a taxi ride. About 10 minutes to his doorstep. Once there, I stood hesitantly at the door. What do I do? I'm nervous. I whispered into the earpiece to my bestie. Just ring the bell. Just do it. Lingling urged nonchalantly. Ding dong. The few tens of seconds wait after ringing felt incredibly long. I stared at my shoes, head down, when the door suddenly opened. Looking up, it was Muyi's sleepy face. Seeing it was me, Muyi froze for a moment. Then he quickly resumed a cold and distant demeanor, though I still caught a flash of delight in his eyes. This discovery boosted my confidence. Feeling quite pleased, I raised an eyebrow slightly. Not going to let this gorgeous lady in? Muyi obediently moved aside to let me in. I walked in and instinctively sat down on the living room sofa, waving the breakfast bag toward Muyi. I'll wait for you to finish washing up so we can eat together. After living with Muyi for a year, I knew that besides brushing his teeth and washing his face, he also had a habit of taking a shower in the morning. When we were together, I once asked him why. He simply said it helped him stay alert throughout the day. I was happily scrolling through my phone when suddenly, Muyi's somewhat awkward voice came from the bathroom. I washed a bath towel yesterday, and it's on the balcony. I forgot to bring it in. That meant he wanted me to get it for him. This is a great opportunity, Yan Yan. You have to pounce on him like a hungry tiger. Ling Ling's excited voice trembled slightly in my ear. Her voice nearly deafened me. How could I possibly pounce on him? Did I have a death wish? I grabbed the towel and lazily walked toward the bathroom. Muyi opened the door. I planned to close my eyes, hand him the towel, and leave. But unexpectedly, there was a lot of water on the bathroom floor. Suddenly, my foot slipped. Oh my god. I ended up falling into the bathtub, towel and all. The little white dress I had carefully chosen for the day was now half soaked, faintly outlining my curves. So eager to throw yourself into my arms, huh? Muyi narrowed his eyes slightly, his whole body radiating a dark aura. Instantly, my face flushed bright red. I flailed my hands, trying to get up from the slippery bathtub, though the process was a bit clumsy. I'll go get a new towel. I hurriedly left those words behind and rushed out. Before closing the bathroom door, I stole a glance at Muyi. His face looked even gloomier. I suspected my days were numbered. Life is so hard. Dripping wet, I fetched a dry towel for him. Shortly after, he emerged wrapped in the towel. He seemed to have come out in a hurry. The strands of hair on Muyi's forehead were messy, still adorned with glistening droplets of water. A few drops trailed down his sharp jawline and landed on his well-defined chest muscles, continuing to slide downward. Seen enough? Or should I take it off for a better look? Suddenly, Muyi's slightly annoyed voice exploded in my ear. I was startled and abruptly lifted my head, meeting his scorching gaze. Only then did I realize I had been staring straight at him from head to toe, my gaze finally lingering on his clearly defined abs. Ugh, how utterly embarrassing. It's not my fault, blame those water droplets. Ugh, no dirty thoughts. I covered my face, not daring to see Muyi's expression. Suddenly, I felt hands on my shoulders, pushing me toward the bathroom. Only then did I notice I was still wet. Go take a hot shower. I'll get your clothes. Muyi's voice carried a hint of helplessness, but I could clearly detect a trace of affection hidden beneath his calm tone. Oh my god. So sweet. Can I scream like a groundhog? No. I must act like a sensible young lady now. So, I deliberately imitated Ling Ling's catwalk, swaying my hips slowly and sensually as I walked in. Was it too exaggerated? Is that why I noticed through the mirror that the guy behind me kept staring? The bathroom was filled with steam, a hazy white everywhere. After changing and tidying up, I walked out and saw Muyi's gaze fixed on the breakfast bag. You haven't eaten? He had already regained his usual cool demeanor. Oh right. I had planned to present this breakfast as a gesture of goodwill, but after all that happened, I still hadn't eaten, and my stomach was growling. I made it myself. I brought it over specially so we could eat together. I lowered my head and fiddled with my fingers. Without realizing it, my tone took on a hint of a woman's coquettish charm. Muyi seemed unable to hold back. He looked down at me with a faint, teasing smile, the curve of his lips intriguing. Oh, you made it? I thought he must be doubting my cooking skills, even though my cooking hasn't improved much. But that doesn't mean this takeout isn't delicious. Just wait, I'll show you what it feels like to be proven wrong. Thinking this, I felt an invincible surge of confidence. It's incredibly tasty. If you don't believe me, I'll heat it up for you to try. After heating it, I brought it to the dining table and called Muyi over. Resting my cheek on one hand, I watched him take a few bites. Unexpectedly, Muyi didn't seem surprised at all. Hey Emph, I sneered inwardly. You little faker, stop pretending. Don't I know how delicious it is? Then I couldn't help myself and started eating heartily. You're enjoying your meal so much, but have you forgotten about today's basic skills demonstration? Just as I was immersed in the happiness brought by the food, Ling, who hadn't disturbed us for a while, suddenly reminded me. Right, it's time to show off what I've learned. I leaned languidly against the edge of the table, pretending to casually brush aside a strand of my hair. I raised my eyes and gazed affectionately at Muyi. Elegance is timeless. Fall for me like crazy. This was the smooth, silky hair I had specially washed last night, using conditioner, hair oil, and a series of other products. Just as I thought the romantic atmosphere was perfectly set, I never noticed before, Muyi smiled meaningfully. Praise me, praise me, praise me, that you have a habit of wearing earphones and listening to music while eating. What? WTF? Did I brush my hair on the wrong side? I was stunned for a long time before it hit me. I was wearing an earphone in my left ear, and my right hand was resting on the table. So, of course, I could only brush the hair on my left side with my left hand. Ugh! What do I do now that I've embarrassed myself so badly? Waiting online. It's urgent. Why, yeah. Listening to music makes the meal better, I blurted out in a panic, making up an excuse on the spot. Muyi raised an eyebrow slightly, clearly unconvinced. So awkward. I avoided his gaze. Well, since we're done with breakfast, I should probably get going. Without waiting for his response, I dashed out as if carried by the wind. On the way home, I still hadn't recovered from the embarrassment, filled with regret. How could I mess up something so simple? If it were someone else, they probably would have already charmed him completely. I guess I'm just not cut out for acting cute. After this setback, I didn't make any further attempts. Seeing my low spirits, Ling didn't bring it up again. Of course, my clumsy efforts also didn't make Muyi ask to get back together. Life after the breakup continued as usual, though inevitably tinged with a bit more melancholy. The crescent moon hung in the night sky, casting a quiet silver haze over the ground. The excitement I felt a few days ago seemed doused by a bucket of cold water, leaving me filled with dejection. I lay sprawled on the bed, not wanting to move. How ridiculous. Thinking calmly now, it was clearly just a random excuse he used to break up with me. In my panic, I had desperately clung to it as if it were a lifeline. Proposing a breakup simply meant his feelings had faded. Such a simple truth. Yet I couldn't see it. And for this absurd reason, I went to his place uninvited, only to make a fool of myself. That was nothing more than a normal, caring remark. Yet I convinced myself Muyi's tone held affection, twisting it in my wishful thinking into a sign that he still had feelings for me. Maybe after he left, I still hadn't adjusted, and my mind was in turmoil. Oh well, a few days of rest to adjust my state should do the trick. It's just a breakup. It's not like I can go on living. For the next few weeks, we both silently avoided contacting each other. I tried my best to disappear from his life, maintaining the image of a proper ex. I originally thought that after this, we would go our separate ways like most former couples, never to contact each other again. Until one morning, I suddenly found out that Muyi was sick. He had a fever. For most adults, this is just a minor illness, nothing worth mentioning. But for Muyi, precisely because it's a small matter, it worried me even more. When he took care of me, he was always meticulous. Whenever something like this happened to me, even someone as steady as him couldn't help but feel anxious while looking after me. But when it came to himself, he didn't take such minor illnesses seriously. Often, before he even told me, he'd tough it out on his own. Muyi had a fever, and yesterday, Ling had vaguely mentioned that the restaurant with food similar to Muyi's cooking had been closed for the past few days. Combined with her murmurs that day, all these clues came together, and a sudden realization hit me. Emotionally charged, I found Ling and tightly grabbed her wrist. Was it Muyi who made it? Seeing her hesitate, I pressed anxiously, disguised as takeout. But he actually made it, right? Under my urgent gaze, Ling finally nodded. Though I still had many doubts, the thought that Muyi might have been suffering from the fever since yesterday, not even caring about himself, made my worry grow wildly. Go find him. As soon as this thought surfaced, I rushed out. I bought fever-reducing medicine and some cold medicine from the nearest pharmacy and arrived at his place with an uneasy heart. When he opened the door, Muyi's slightly thinner figure came into view. Before he could react, I reached out and touched his forehead. Surprisingly, the fever had already subsided. "Go rest on the sofa," I said anxiously, not noticing that my tone had taken on the air of the lady of the house. I walked past him, fetched a cup and spoon, and prepared the cold medicine. After stirring it well, I carried the medicine over to him. On the sofa, Muyi's already fair face looked even paler from the illness, adding to his delicate appearance. I had intended to ask him to drink it himself, but seeing him look so pitiful, the words caught in my throat, and I felt a twinge of reluctance. So, I sat down beside Muyi and fed him spoonful by spoonful, blowing on each to cool it down. With each spoonful, fragments of memories flooded back. In the past, every month when I had menstrual cramps, Muyi would prepare ginger and brown sugar water and, despite my protests, feed it to me spoonful by spoonful, blowing on it to cool it down. When I mumbled in pain late at night, he would instinctively cover my stomach and gently massage it, even in his sleep. Month after month, he kept this up for 2 years, and even after breaking up, he was still worried I wouldn't get used to others cooking, so he personally prepared meal after meal and sent them over. He was still the same lover who had ingrained utmost tenderness into his very bones, and I had always been the one showered with his love, rarely taking the initiative to give back, gradually growing accustomed to it. A sudden sense of guilt filled my heart, swelling with a bittersweet ache. Lost in my thoughts, it took me a long time to realize the medicine was almost gone. Muyi had been staring straight at me, and I had no idea for how long. I avoided his overly intense gaze, my eyes flickering nervously. He seemed to be in a good mood, his eyes bright and lively, a stark contrast to his pale face. "So worried about me?" Muyi chuckled lightly. Because of his illness, his voice was low and hoarse, carrying a hint of mesmerizing allure. Dazzled by Muyi's captivating smile for a moment, I decisively replied, "Yes." I heard my own voice, clear and firm. Now it was his turn to freeze, probably not expecting me to be so direct. Suddenly, I was pulled into a warm, broad embrace. The clean, sunny scent unique to him enveloped me. He wrapped one arm around my waist while the other hand tousled my hair. "At least I didn't spoil you for nothing." Muyi laughed freely in my ear, his breath brushing against the skin below my ear, silently alluring. I tried my best to ignore the burning heat in my ears, which felt as if they were about to drip blood. Did this warm, tender hug represent a silent reconciliation? My heart was filled with anticipation. But I waited and waited, and no words of reconciliation came. Even as I left, it would be a lie to say I wasn't disappointed, but I hadn't completely lost hope in him. Though I didn't know the reason for the breakup, I understood his character. They say relationships reveal a person's true nature. I know Muyi well. If he broke up because he no longer loved me, he wouldn't have done these things or given me hope. I kept checking to see if he had called or messaged me. After waiting and waiting, I didn't hear from Muyi but received a call from my mom instead. "Why haven't you sent the money yet? Did you ruin your brother's life and now want to starve me and your dad to death? Hurry up, otherwise..." Unpleasant curses followed one after another. I instinctively moved the phone away from my ear. I didn't need to keep listening to know what she would say next. After all, this scene had played out countless times. Unwilling to hear more, I immediately hung up and transferred the money. Checking the date, I realized it was already the 3rd of the month. Usually, I would send the money on time or even earlier to avoid such annoying calls. But recently, with everything happening between Muyi and me, I had forgotten. I closed my eyes, feeling an overwhelming sense of exhaustion rise from deep within. But before I could rest, a client's calls started coming in one after another. Answering the phone, the client asked to meet at a cafe to discuss business. It was a weekday. No matter how burdened with emotions, a working professional has to swallow them and carry on. After tidying myself up, I had to rush to the meeting. At the cafe, the client and I were going through the formalities of our business discussion. As I waited somewhat idly for the client to review the documents, my peripheral vision caught a familiar, tall figure outside the window. Beside him stood an elegant young woman. They were saying goodbye outside the cafe entrance. I admit, seeing this tightened my chest, and jealousy surged within me. For a moment, I even wondered if Muyi had broken up with me because of her. But these thoughts only lingered in my mind for an instant before vanishing completely. Somehow, I just knew it wasn't what I thought. I believed it was just a misunderstanding, but I needed to clarify things. I didn't want unnecessary misunderstandings to come between us again. After finalizing the deal, the client left first. The two outside were about to leave. I pushed open the door and walked straight up to them. "Hello," I said candidly, extending my hand to the woman. She paused for a moment, then seemed to realize I might have misunderstood. She gently shook my hand and smiled kindly. "Hello. I'm Dr. Lu's assistant. You must be his wife? You're very fortunate. Mr. Mu truly loves you. A doctor's assistant? Did Muyi have some terminal illness like the male leads in dramas, not wanting to burden me? But he looked perfectly healthy. That's absurd and unlikely. Wait, Dr. Lu?" The way the assistant introduced him suggested this doctor was so well known that just his surname alone would identify him. As far as I knew, there was only one famous local doctor surnamed Lu, and he was a psychologist. I glanced at Muyi suspiciously. What's this guy seeing a psychologist for? Seemingly aware of my gaze, Muyi looked back at me, the corners of his lips curling. His dark eyes were filled with teasing amusement. After being together for so long, how could I not know what he meant? This guy's face practically screamed, "You were jealous just now, and I'm thrilled," I grumbled inwardly. When we were together, he was so upright and never gave me a chance to feel jealous. Since it was just a small misunderstanding, we exchanged a few polite words before parting ways. Muyi took me home. The entire journey was silent. However, the calm days didn't last long. I suddenly received a threatening phone call. The voice on the other end was menacing. "We're with your parents. If you don't want them to get hurt, hurry up and bring money to pay off their debts." My mind went blank. In a panic, I told Ling Ling I needed to go back to my hometown, grabbed my bank card, and rushed back at top speed. Arriving at the familiar remote small town, I jumped out of the car and desperately ran to the house. The main gate of the house was wide open, revealing a dark, crowded interior. A middle-aged couple was huddled in a corner. As soon as they saw me, my mother pointed at me nervously and started yelling, "What are you doing here? Why couldn't you have used your own life to save your brother back then? I don't have a daughter like you. Get out of here." I had heard these words countless times before, but each time, the sharp knife-like pain in my heart remained impossible to ignore. "We don't need you here. Get lost." My father also shouted loudly. The leader of the thugs grew increasingly impatient. "Do you get to decide what's needed? Shut the hell up. Hand over the money now." Instinctively, I tightened my grip on the card in my hand. In 2 quick steps, I positioned myself in front of my parents and held out the card. But I never expected that with years of compound interest on the loan, the money on the card was far from enough. After verifying the account, the scar-faced leader looked vicious, cursing angrily. "Is this little bit of money meant to fool someone? If you can't pay up today, don't expect to walk away unharmed." They didn't dare to actually cause death, so they only had clubs. They waved them menacingly, trying to intimidate us. Suddenly, I was pulled behind with great force. My father straightened his back as much as possible to shield me. My mother's voice was hysterical, sounding almost surreal in the chaos. "Who dares to touch my daughter? She's our only daughter left. If anyone hurts her, I'll fight them to the death." The crowd pushed and shoved. Suddenly, I felt a sharp, heavy blow from behind. My vision went dark, and I felt dizzy, about to collapse. Looking at the 2 people in front of me desperately trying to protect me, they seemed to have aged decades in an instant. Why, in such a tense situation, did I suddenly feel a sweeping sense of relief and release? In my last moment of consciousness, I glimpsed a familiar figure rushing toward me from the doorway. Someone usually so composed was now moving with extreme urgency. It seemed as if all the scattered light gathered around him, as if trying to dispel the thick haze of darkness. I had a very, very long dream. When I was 5 years old, a tiny new member joined our family, and everyone was filled with joy. But the good times didn't last. Before my brother turned 1, life turned upside down. No new toys or clothes were bought at home, and we could only afford meat once in a long while. As a little girl, I didn't understand why my parents cried every day. Then one day, my parents said they would take me out to play. They cut my hair short and bought me a set of boys' clothes. It looked cool, but I didn't like it. But if it made them a little happier, I thought it wouldn't be too hard to accept. They held my hand and led me to a strange man. The man gave them a lot of money and was about to put me in a car. They said they would come back for me soon. Suddenly, I realized my parents seemed to be abandoning me. I panicked and screamed sharply for them not to leave. Fortunately, the men spat out, "Why is this a girl?" and pushed me back. The money in their hands was snatched away. When I grew up, I learned that my brother had tuberculous meningitis. They borrowed money from relatives and even took out high-interest loans, but it still wasn't enough, so they planned to sell me. Without selling me, they had no money. In the end, my brother passed away. After that, my parents lived in a daze. They said they had no choice and that I had killed my brother. The scene shifted. In the dream, there was a harmonious, happy family. My brother didn't fall ill or pass away. My parents still loved life. We were ordinary but fortunate. Waking up, I stared at the hospital's white ceiling, my pillow damp. The harmonious family in the dream was just a false illusion. The silly dream I had longed for all these years. The tears lingering at the corner of my eyes were gently wiped away by the warm pad of Muyi's thumb. He could no longer pretend. His eyes filled with pain and tenderness as he carefully embraced me. Yan Yan, I'm here. Muyi's hug carried a soothing power. His broad shoulders silently told me he could hold all my broken emotions. Strangely, even though I had silently endured so many years of injustice without a word, I suddenly let overwhelming feelings of grievance envelop me. I cried my heart out in Muyi's arms. I was actually fine, but I just couldn't help it, because it felt as if all the lost sense of security from the past could be reclaimed in this comforting embrace. Muyi gently patted my back, and I gradually calmed down. It turned out that seeing me rush off in such a hurry, Ling had called Muyi to inform him. He arrived just in time and even helped pay off the debt in the end. Since I met him, it seemed that whenever I needed him or felt lost, he had never been absent. Sitting on the hospital bed, leaning against his shoulder, he told me many things. After we fell in love, he gradually noticed something amiss about me. For example, other girls could easily lean on their boyfriends, but apart from showing passion in the early stages of our relationship, I remained distant and passive most of the time. Whenever our bond was about to deepen, I couldn't help but pull back. So he consulted a psychologist. The doctor told him this was avoidant attachment style. I needed space, and he shouldn't be overly affectionate with me. Clearly, breaking up was the most rational solution. Yet precisely this incident made me see my own feelings clearly, step by step. I no longer wanted to be a coward in love. I couldn't help but run toward him. I should have known earlier. A child like me, abandoned once, would question everyone's love. I was trapped in a cage built in my own heart, one that no one could cross. I was afraid of giving and relying on others in a relationship because if the other person pulled away, the agony of being abandoned would come rushing back. So subconsciously, I resorted to the defense mechanism my mind had formed back then to cope with all relationships, as if that way I could never get hurt. But I overlooked the fact that those who truly loved me would get hurt because of this. It wasn't that I didn't remember the impatient tone I used when Muyi called late at night while I was out with friends, telling him not to worry, or how I resisted and pushed him away when our relationship was on the verge of deepening. It wasn't that I didn't remember the grief-stricken and helpless look on his face as he held me tightly. I just chose to be a runaway. Muyi silently endured my coldness and estrangement, yet he always put himself in my shoes, guiding me gently and imperceptibly to slowly learn how to love and try to trust his affection. He built a more solid safe haven in my heart, one that was warm and orderly, capable of embracing both of us. Yan Yan, all these years, we've wronged you. Hearing my mother's trembling apology, I saw them standing timidly at the door, afraid to come in. My father also had reddened eyes, struggling to hold back his emotions. All these years we've long moved past the grief. We just didn't want to burden you with our debts. We had to be harsh to make you not want to come home. Not being able to see our only daughter also pains us deeply. Yan Yan, honestly, we don't expect your forgiveness. As long as you can be happy and carefree, we'll do anything to make amends. My mother's tears streamed down, carving deeper lines around her mouth. She lowered her head, not daring to look at me, but busied herself peeling various fruits and placing them on a tray, as if this could ease her conscience a little. I thought I had always hated them, but at that moment, I suddenly realized that the wounds I once deemed unforgivable had long been smoothed over by time, leaving nothing but relief. Even at this moment, when the family love I had yearned for day and night finally came knocking, my emotions were surprisingly calm, without the slightest ripple. Some hurts had already been inflicted. The apology they needed to make was owed to the little girl who once loved them wholeheartedly. How helpless must she have been back then? And I could never forgive them on her behalf. You don't need to apologize to me. She does. I uttered these words expressionlessly. For a moment, No one spoke. The hospital room was deathly silent, as if everyone already knew this truth. I watched their faces turn pale instantly, and they seemed to flee the room in a panic-stricken rush. My injuries weren't serious, and I was discharged soon after. Contrary to my expectations, Muyi took me home and then left. Over the past few days, taking care of me had left Muyi with stubble on his chin and exhaustion etched in his eyes. Seeing this, a pang of heartache tugged at me. He must have gone back to rest. In the meantime, I could make some nourishing soup for him. I'm such a thoughtful girlfriend. But soon, I realized the title Queen of Kitchen Disasters wasn't given for nothing. Either the soup had too little water for the ingredients and burned, or it was way too salty. But this time was different from before. I didn't choose to give up immediately. I didn't know where this persistence came from, but I was determined to make a bowl of soup that Muyi could drink. I specially searched online for the recipe and followed it step by step, with extreme care, not missing a single detail. But just as I finished cooking, before I could taste it, Muyi walked in pulling a suitcase behind him. I popped my head out, and our eyes met. Since you're here, have a taste. I wiped my hands and quickly filled a bowl of soup, placing it on the table. Muyi drank it slowly, sip by sip. I waited nervously beside him for his verdict. He stared at me without saying a word. Just when I thought I had messed up again, I saw flames flickering in his dark eyes, and time abruptly flashed back to the day I fed him medicine. Two pairs of eyes from two different moments in time miraculously overlapped at that instant, filled with the same tender hope. I suddenly realized whether it was me desperately trying to win him back by learning to act cute after our breakup, worrying about him and taking care of him when he was sick, or now making soup for him because I felt sorry for his weariness from looking after me. All of this proved a heartening sign. I had already grown accustomed to taking the initiative with Muyi, accustomed to caring for him the same way he cherished me. And when misunderstandings arose between him and another woman, it wasn't that I wasn't jealous. I had also learned to trust him unconditionally. In all the little moments we shared, I seemed to have regained the ability to love. Epilogue. As for acting cutesy, when emotions run deep, it comes naturally. Don't you think so? I snuggled lazily against Muyi, sneaking a cheeky touch, yet on the surface, I smiled charmingly. Muyi caught hold of my restless hand, his voice low and mesmerizing. Do you know what you're doing? Yan Yan. The usual coldness in his eyes had melted away, replaced by a deep, dark warmth. I tilted his chin up and captured his cool lips with mine precisely and firmly. He seemed to no longer be able to hold back, pulling me tightly into his arms, showering me with soft, lingering kisses. Ice and fire intertwined between our lips and tongues. A searing heat in my chest felt like it was about to burst. Nestled in Muyi's arms, which carried a faint, refreshing scent, I drifted into a sound sleep. When I woke up, the weather was bright and sunny. A streak of golden sunlight streamed through the corner of the window, casting its glow evenly over a large bouquet of tightly clustered lilies placed on the bedside. I stared at the flowers for a long time. Tender pink and white lilies nestled together, radiating vitality and warmth. I suddenly remembered our wedding day. Dressed in his formal suit, he looked gentle and pure. Muyi slowly took my hand, pressed a soft kiss to it, and promised. He said, Yan Yan, don't be afraid. He said, Yan Yan, I'll always be by your side. He said, Yan Yan, I'll give you a home that would never be lost, and forever filled with warmth.